Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namini Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashat Deshatarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Nantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna, dear worshipable devotees, thank you so much for joining. We are reading today Bhagavad Gita. So day before we read, or 3 days back, maybe chapter 12, and then we read chapter 16 day before, divine and demonic, and we discussed the acronym DOG, dog, the divine and demoniac. Then the O is the O stands for the different what's the O for? Anyone recalls? Opinions, yes. The outlooks, the different outlook of the demons, how they see world. And the G, the last G, Trividham Narakasya Dvam, stands for gates to hell. We didn't cover the acronym for chapter 12 or the summary, but it's a good way to remember. The opposite of dog is God. So the acronym for chapter 12 is God, God. The first G stands for Godhead. So Lord Krishna answers to Arjuna's question that out of the impersonalist and the personalist, the impersonalist, it's a very complicated and not the recommended way to approach the personal form of the Lord. That the Lord can be approached through the process of bhakti in a personal way. And that's what the chapter is titled, Bhakti Yoga. So how to approach God or Supreme Personality of Godhead, not through impersonalism, but through the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So therefore, Prabhupada translates Bhagavan as Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then from text 8 to 12, Krishna gives multiple options. So this is called, like, there are 5 different options. Says starting with like complete surrender. Okay, if you can't do this, then maybe take the next bit. At least try to engage your mind, your senses. If you can't engage your fully, then if you can't even do the mind senses, then do some support. Try to do the regulative principle of bhakti, and then try to directly or indirectly. The idea is to perform bhakti yoga. And finally, the D stands for the devotee's disposition or devotee's qualities. So we learned a lot of about 26 qualities I mentioned. How devotee is so tolerant, satisfied, tranquil, peaceful, grave, sober, pure, equipoised, satisfied, etc., etc. So that's the God, God. So today what we are going to do, we are going to read chapter 15, and this is a very important chapter. I'm sure many of us have read this multiple times. This is called Purushottam Yoga. And when the Adhik Maas come, also called the Purushottam Adhik Maas, the daily recitation of this chapter is especially recommended. So I'm sure all of us have read this multiple times, but we'll do this chapter. Chapter number 12 and chapter 15, both are the by length or by count of verses, the smallest, and both have 20 verses each. So in case anyone wants to memorize a chapter of Bhagavad Gita, start with the 20 verses one, chapter 12 or chapter 15. Then and then there are other verses other chapters which even have like 70 or plus verses, like chapter 2 and chapter 18. Those are the lengthiest ones. And others are somewhere between 30, 40, 50, etc. Okay, so without further delay, let's begin this beautiful chapter, the Yoga of the Supreme Person, also called as Purushottam Yoga. And 20 verses, so we'll cover 2 each. So if you wish to read, you can raise your hand and get a chance to read, and everyone can read 2 verses each. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Urdhva Moolam Adha Shakham Ashvatham Prahuravyayam Chandamsi Yasya Parnani Yastam Veda Savedave. Translation by His Divine Grace C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "It is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas." अथश्चोर्ध्वं प्रसृतस्तस्य शाखा गुणा प्रवृद्धा विषयाः प्रवाला अधश्च मूलानि अनुसन्ततानि कर्मानुबन्धानि मनुष्यलोके. The branches of this tree extend downward and upward, nourished by the 3 modes of material nature. The twigs are the objects of the senses. This tree also has roots going down, and these are bound to the fruitive actions of human society. Okay, yes, now other Vaishnavas can read. Yes, I'll start with Anita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna everyone. Narupam aesha tatho palavayate nanto nachadir nacha sampratistha aswatham enam suvirudha moolam asanga sastrena drirena chitva tata padam tat parimar Gitvyam yashmin gata na nirvartanti bhuya tam eva chadyam purusham prapadye yata pravrti prashrita purani. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, or where its foundation is. But with determination, one must cut down this strongly rooted tree with the weapon of detachment. Thereafter, one must seek that place from which, having gone, one never returns, and there surrender to that Supreme Personality of Godhead from whom everything began and from whom everything has extended since time immemorial. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to read? In a position to read?
Yes, Prabhuji, I can read.
Yes.
Text 5. Hare Krishna. Text 5. Nirmana mohajit sanga dosha adhyatma nitya vinivruta kamaha dvandir vimukta sukha dukha sangehi gachatyam muda padam vyayatat. Those translation, those who are free from false prestige, illusions and false association, who understand the internal, who are done with material lust, who are freed from the qualities dualities of happiness and distress, and who unbewildered know how to surrender onto the Supreme Person, attain to that internal kingdom. Text 6. Natvad भाष्यते सूर्यो न संशाको न पावकः यद्यत्वा न निर्वन्तन्ते तद्राम paramam mama. Translation. That supreme abode of mine is not illuminated by the sun or moon, nor by fire or electricity. Those who reach it never return up to this material world. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Very good. Yes, Prem Sankirtan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna devotees, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Text 7. Mamaivangsha jiva loke, jiva bhuta sanatana, mano shastani indriyani, prakriti sthani kasyati. Translation by His Divine Grace, Abhacharana Ravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the 6 senses, which include the mind. Text 8. Shariram jad avapnoti jakcha api utkramati ishara kritya itani shamyati vayur gandhan tashayat. Translation. The living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another. As the air carries aromas, thus he takes one kind of body and again quits it to take another. Thank you, bro.
There you go. Iti Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Shotram chakshu sparshanam cha rasanam granam eva cha adhisthaya manch sanchayam vishayanupasevate. The living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects. Ukramantam stitam vapi Bhunjanam va gunavitam vimudha nanupasyanti pashyanti jana jnana chakshuha. Translation. The foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this.
Krishna. Thank you. Next, anyone who is not read? Varun, Prabhu? Want to try? Somehow I can't hear you. Looks like you're on mute, but I can't hear you. Okay, so we'll go for the second servings. Yatanto yoginaschainam pashyanti atmani avasthitam yatantopya akritatmano ainam pashyanti achetasaha. The endeavoring transcendentalists who are situated in self-realization can see this all clearly, but those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place. though they may try. Yat aditya gatam tejo jagat bhasyate akhilam yat chandramsi yat chagnau tat tejo vidhi mamakam. The splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of the whole world, comes from me, and the splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire are also from me. Yes, Anita Mataji, next two.
Hare Krishna. Gam avishya cha bhutani dharayami aham ojasa pushnami chausadi sarva somo bhutva rasatmaka. I enter into each planet, and by my energy, they stay in orbit. I become the moon, and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables. Aham Vaishvanaro bhutva praninam deham ashrita prana pranapana samayukta pachami annam chaturvidam. I am the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entities, and I join with the air of life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the four kinds of foodstuff. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji, I can read again.
Yes, Mataji.
Text 15. Hare Krishna. सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्निविष्टो मतः स्मृतिज्ञानपोहनं च वैदेश्च सर्वैरहमेव वेदो वेदान्तकृते विदेव चाहम्. Translation. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness by all the Vedas. I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedant, and I am the knower of the Vedas. Text 16. Dravimo purusho loke akshara akshara evacha akshara sarvani bhutani kutostho akshara uchyate. Translation. There are two classes of being, the fallible and infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every living entity is called infallible. Hare Krishna.
Anyone else wants to read?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Uttama purushastu anya paramatmeti udharita jolokotrayam abhishya vibhatyabhaya ishvara. Besides these two, there is the greatest living personality, the Supreme Soul, the imperishable Lord Himself, who has entered the three worlds and is maintaining them. Text 18. Jashmat sharam atita aham aksharad api chottama ata ashmi lokaye vedecha prathita purushottama. Translation. Because I am transcendental, beyond both the fallible and the infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as that supreme person.
I can pose it. Hare Krishna devotees, Dhan Pranam, all the Srila Prabhupada. Text 19. Yo mamevam asangmuro janati purushottamam sa sarva vida bhajati mang sarva bhavena bharata. Whoever knows me as a supreme personality of Godhead without doubting is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in the full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata. Text 20. Iti gujyatamam shastram idam uktam maya nago atod buddha buddhiman shat kito kitasya bharata. This is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures, O sinless one, and it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection. Back to Hare Krishna.
Reborn. Shri Purushottam Yoga Adhyaya Ki Jai. Thank you so much, dear Vaishnavas, for reading the 20 verses of this wonderful chapter. Let's recap this chapter by the acronym. What's the acronym for this chapter? Is home. The H, the first few verses talk about what? Urdhva Moolam Adha Shakha, right? The tree where the roots are upward and the branches are down. That tree is referring to the material world. The original tree is the spiritual world, where the roots are down, the branches are up. But when you flip it in a lake or in an illusion or in a reflection, the roots are up and the branches. Urdhva Moolam Adha Shakha. So that's material world. Material world, and that's the H or home or hotel. Whenever we go to a hotel, no matter it's 5-star, 7-star, or the best of the comforts, the home may not be as grand or as, even if one has a simple home, but one feels very safe, comfort, and joyful to be back home. Even one could be in a 5-star or 10-star resort. Because so that's why this world is like a hotel. We are there for a short term, right? 5, 10, 20, 50, 100 years, right? Like when we go to a hotel, we don't start kind of painting the rooms, getting the furniture, or putting our maybe some frames or something. No. Why we don't do that? Maybe we do that in our home. Put some frames, put some furniture, put some colors and decorations and stuff. Why don't we do that in hotel? Because we are there as a guest for 2 days, 4 days, 5 days, and pack up and leave. That didn't belong to us, and that will not belong to us. And that's basically, Krishna says, that's the whole world is like a hotel. It is not our real home. The real home is back home, back to Godhead. And one who understands this is actually the real knower. So the first few verses talks about this banyan tree, the upside down banyan tree. And we are like birds jumping from one branch to the other, chewing the leaves, chewing the fruits, jumping this city, this country, that country, good, bad, happy, sad, jumping from one branch to the other. And in this process, we forget about the real home, that is back home. The HOME, the O stands for on and on, over and over again, right? So in that connection, one who does not successfully complete the goal of human form of life, then that person will struggle very hard. Prakriti sthani karshati, right? One who is attached to the one's body and mind, then one will struggle hard. One will not be able to yad gatvanani vartante tadham paramamma. One will not be able to go to the supreme spiritual home. One will have to repeatedly take shariram yad avapnoti, as the wind, as the vayur gandham ivasayat, as the air carries the aroma, so that the body carries the spirit soul from human to dog to elephant, and different bodies and different planets, still in that hotel, on and on, over and over again. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. We get these different bodies, different ears, different senses, but it will keep happening. It will keep happening until we we train ourselves to engage in bhakti yoga and get free from the cycle of birth and death. So that's basically the O on and on, over and over again. The M stands for the supreme maintainer. M is maintainer. Krishna says, Sarvasya Chaham Hridi Sannivishto. I am present in everyone's heart, and from me comes knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. I am the bhokta, I am the doer, right? Vedeshcha sarver ahameva vedyo vedanta kridveda vid eva chaham. He is a supreme controller, supreme maintainer. In many, many verses, Krishna says this in Bhagavad Gita, but here in particular text 15, he says, I put the juice, somo bhutva rasatmakaha. I supply the juice to the vegetables through the moon. How are the planets moving? Gama Vishyacha Bhutani, how are the planets moving in their respective orbits? There must be some mastermind, right? So big planets, such huge balls, are they just like moving around by chance? No. Dhariyami aham ojasa, by my strength, by my energy. Pushnami chaushada sarve, in the fruits and the herbs. Krishna puts the juice through his energies. He is the fire of digestion. If remember, like think about if you don't have digestion, the body will not function. The belly is not good, digestion is weak, so many diseases will come. Prana, apana, sama, yukta, he balances the air. So Krishna is the life air. He's the fire of digestion. He is the present in everyone's heart. He is the source of knowledge, forgetfulness. So in short, the M is the maintainer. So the first home and hotel, on and on, over and over. Then the M is the maintainer. And then the last E is the essence. In the last three verses, 16th to 18th, Krishna talks about the essence. The essence is bhakti, basically, right? There are two classes of men, fallible, infallible, material world, spiritual world. But ultimately, what? Yo mam evam asammudo janati purushottama sa sarvavid bhajati mam. That person, sarvavid, one who is really a knower, bhajati mam, sarvabhavina, with full heart, with full devotion. He therefore engages in full bhakti. O son of Bharata, O Kunti Putra, O Arjuna, referring to all of us, that basically knowing Krishna here should lead to worshipping Krishna. Right? Otherwise, what is the use? Like if someone knows cooking, what is the proof of that they know cooking? That means they make good food products. Just Google knows all the recipes, right? But Google doesn't get the award for best chef, right? ChatGPT knows all the recipes, right? But a good chef or a good cook is one who uses the intelligence. Same in any field. A good teacher, a good doctor, a good engineer, a good mother is knowledge in the head should lead to transformation of heart. Information should lead to transformation. Otherwise, it's just carrying load of information. It's not going to help. Maybe it will give some false pride, or it will give some false followers, or so-called followers. Oh, look at him, he knows hundreds of verses, he's so intelligent. But it will not lead to transformation of heart. So the goal of knowledge is yo mam evam asammudo janati purushottama. One who knows Krishna worships Krishna. Knowing Krishna is basically lead to worshipping Krishna, and this is the topmost secret. The Krishna mentions in the chapter 9 also, Rajavidya Rajaguhyam. Lord Krishna is repeating this. Iti guhyamam guhyatamam. Wow. The most confidential knowledge he is giving. The most confidential. Guhya, guhyatara, guhyatama. Like good, better, best. So guhya, guhyatara, guhyatama. Shastram idam uktvam mayanagha. I'm giving this to you, O sinless one, O non-envious one. Right? Krishna is giving this to Arjuna, because Arjuna is sinless, non-envious. Etad buddhva buddhiman syat krityascha bharata. And whoever understands this, his endeavors, in short, bhakti yoga, will know perfection. This is the power of bhakti. This is the power of Purushottam yoga. In short, one should fully take shelter of Lord Purushottama, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Govinda, Krishna, Hari, so many unlimited names he has. So, just summarizing, HOME, home versus hotel, reflection. O is on and on, over and over again. Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Muranam, jumping from one branch to the other, one twig to the other. Who is the supreme maintainer, the fire of digestion, that puts juice in the vegetables, holds the planet, and the giver of knowledge, forgetfulness, everything. And that's Krishna, who is present in the heart. And finally, the essence, Goya, Guhya Gyan. What is Goya? Know Krishna, worship Krishna. Man mana bhava mad bhakto. Same, many chapters end with this, right? 9.34 ends with this. So same here, it's ending with knowing Krishna means worshipping Krishna. Okay, so that's chapter 15. Any comments, thoughts, questions, comments, additions anyone has in this chapter?
So, Harsha Prabhuji, in this verse, Sarvasya Cham Riji Sunnivishta. So, Krishna is in our heart. Also, in the other verse, we read that Ishwar Sarvana Bhutanam Riddesha Ujjun Tishtati. So, he's in our heart. So, we cannot understand Krishna by brain, only through the heart. That means by bhakti. That is my understanding from these verses.
Yes, Prabhuji. Bhaktya mam abhijanati. Krishna says himself through the process of bhakti. Na vedaya na tikaya. Vedeshcha durlabam. Vedeshcha durlabam. Adurlabam atma bhakta in the Brahma Samhita. So he is known through devotion, not through intelligence, not through austerity, not through anything else, not through brahmacharya. I mean, all those things are helpful. Austerity is helpful, brahmacharya is helpful, rules and regulations are helpful, knowledge is helpful. But ultimately, the whole essence is that he is known through bhakti. Thank you. Anyone else has any other comments, additions? Okay, so I think it's time, 9 o'clock. So we will wrap up here and continue on Monday. Shri Bhagavad Gita Upanishad ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Gaur Bhaktavinda ki jai, Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha, Titanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha, Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Hari Hari Bol. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.